Hi, welcome to episode 315 of the Corner of Knit and Tea. My name is Laura. I'm also known as Fluffyk on Ravelry, Fluffykara on Instagram and Twitter. I blog over at thecornerofknitandtea.com, which is where this episode and every episode show notes will be. I have an Etsy shop where I sell my handspun yarns and knitted patterns, and that is also called the Corner of Knit and Tea. Hi, how are you? It is Monday, February 1st. I can hardly believe we're already into the second month of the year. January felt both tedious and long and like it went by in the blink of an eye. I cannot believe Christmas was over a month ago and we're already one full month into the new year. As those of you who watch frequently may notice, I'm in a slightly different position. I decided to sit on the floor today with the sofa and all my knits behind me. Part of that was because I hate seeing that blank wall behind me. I really need to do more with that so that it provides a nice background. But I hope that you are doing well. It is sunny but chilly here in the Midwest. We actually managed to miss the big snowstorm that dumped a lot of snow on both sort of the upper Midwest and the East Coast. But it is about 30 degrees, even though there's a little bit of sun today. I'll take the sun. It has been rainy and dreary it feels like forever. So it's a new month, which means I have finished some projects. I have some new projects getting ready to be cast on or picked up, and lots to talk about. So I hope that you are doing well, that you are staying healthy, and that the new year is positive for you. So today in the tea I am drinking, a friend from back east sent a box of things including tea, and the friend who lives here generously shared with me. So today I am drinking some Wegmans Blueberry Green, obviously just in a leftover mason jar. It smells amazing. I have not tasted it yet, but it absolutely, So it's a green tea with blueberry, and it smells like blueberry and sweet and fragrant. And I am drinking it today in my Oy Vey all day mug because it is a Monday and that deserves an Oy Vey, which was from my mother-in-law for Christmas. That is really, really delicious. It's got a little bit of sweet and also a little bit of tart, and it tastes very much of blueberry. So I can't tell you what's in it other than that it is a green tea and it's from Wegmans. So if you live back east, head on over to your Wegmans if you're interested to try. For those of you who don't live in the U.S., Wegmans is an East Coast of the U.S. market chain, and people are kind of die-hard fanatics about Wegmans, or Weggies, which I've heard a few people call it. So I have not been to a Wegmans, but I know of them. So that is where that one comes from, and that is delicious. I might even have to see if I can order online from them. So, it is for the 1st of February, and I finished a bunch of projects that I wanted to finish in the month of January. So, the first project that I finished and blocked and wove in all my ends, so the only thing left is to photograph it, is the wrap that I was knitting as a sample for Zen Yarn Gardens. And that is the Mortho wrap by Erin Kurup. It is a long rectangular wrap that's knit on the bias, and it has a combination of mosaic slip stitch sections and lace and garter and stockinette and a variety of other things. And it came out super long. I believe blocked it was supposed to be 91 inches. I did not completely measure it, but it is super long and super gorgeous. So the wrap begins with some garter stitch and a little bit of eyelet lace. And I could show you the front rather than the back because the back won't get you the beauty. Sorry about that. And then we move through, oops, that's not the beginning actually, this one's the beginning. Same thing. And then we move through sections of mosaic, and I used Zen Yarn Gardens Serenity Silk Plus base, which is 500 yards to 100 grams. So it is a very, very light fingering weight. It is a merino silk and cashmere blend, and I used it in the natural color, and then I used it in one of Zen Yarn Gardens Luxe Cakes, which is just a bigger put up, and it's dyed in gradient yarn. or it's dyed in a gradient. The put up is 150 grams, 750 yards, so it's still the same ratio and weight. It's just a slightly different put up. So my gradient cake went from purple through to pink and then back to purple, and like I said, we're alternating these sections of mosaic slip stitch and then some lace. And you know, we kind of alternate and go back and forth, and then we finally get to the end, and the end sort of matches the other end, which is some more garter stitch and an eyelet section. So that is enormous. It is way bigger than my wingspan. It's more than I can show you here, but it is a gorgeous lightweight wrap. It would probably be perfect as a long scarf or as something in the spring to keep the chill off. I am very excited that it is done. Overall, I used, let me think about this, I used right around 1,000 yards. When I finished, I had approximately half the skein left of the white, which was the natural in the, it was 500 grams, so I used about, 100 grams, 500 yards, so I used about 250 yards of this one. And I managed to eke it out of one gradient cake, but this is all that's left, which I weighed it today and it said 2 grams. So basically 750 plus 250, right around 1,000 yards. And I knit it as written in the pattern. I knitted it on the called for needle size. I made no modifications to this one, and I'm super happy that I made it in one gradient cake. They had sent me 2 just in case I needed it, because it was unclear exactly how much we needed, but only one gradient cake will save a lot because they're going to put these together as kits and sell them. So again, that's from Zen Yarn Garden. I will be packaging that up and sending it off for photography soon, and then those kits will probably come out in the spring, and that is a gorgeous knit and finished. So that is the first thing that's off my needles this week. The second thing is my Comfort Fade cardigan. This is a pattern by Drea Renee Knits, Andrea Mowry on Ravelry, and I knit one about probably 2 years ago, maybe a little bit more even, for Zen Yarn Garden as a sample, and in exchange they gave me enough yarn to knit my own, and I got to pick my own colors, and so I designed my own little gradient. And this year, I think I mentioned on my last episode, I'm sort of paralyzed for choice when it comes to picking what I'm going to knit next. There's so much to think about these days, and I was looking for something that kind of had a yarn and a pattern picked out, and I had ordered the yarn quantities such that I could knit the fade, and so that I ordered it in such quantities that I could have knit something else, but it kind of fit this pattern. So I decided to go ahead and re-knit this pattern that I had purchased a long time ago. And I finished it, and I'm super, super excited. It's still not blocked. All the ends that you see are woven in, but I haven't clipped them because the sweater is superwash merino. Excuse me. And I expect that once I block it, it's going to grow a little bit, and I want the ends to be able to kind of stretch with it. I don't want to clip them and then have them pop out. So my finishing work is basically done. I finished this sweater on Saturday, the 30th, and I didn't have enough time to block it before the podcast today, so I will block it after the podcast. But this is my finished sweater, and the color is a little bit floppy. The pictures will be better when I put it on the mannequin after it has been blocked. But again, this is a sweater that has a beautiful fade. It is knit in reverse stockinette stitch, and I faded from this silver color to a silver overdyed with red, to a red overdyed with a little bit of black, to a black. And so I don't know why that one's sticking out there. That one, I might have found the one end that I did not weave in, because it shouldn't be on that side. All the other ends are on the inside, basically. So that is the sweater. It's a fairly simple raglan, and then the body pattern follows the same. And then it's got this huge, fabulous shawl collar, which I'm trying to show you. It's hard to see. It's got short row shaping at the neck, as you can see, and so that gives you kind of the big shawl collar. And the collar is in garter stitch, and so it looks thusly. So this was a easy knit. I stalled a little bit on the sleeves just because I knit the first one real fast, and then the second one I was like, I don't want it in another sleeve. But then I finished the sleeves, and then the collar took several nights to knit. But it's a pleasurable knit. It's just garter stitch, and it's just that it's you've got the long rows over the top and then the short rows in the back of the collar. So I tried it on last night. It fits beautifully in the top. The body will fit better with a little bit of blocking. It just hasn't laid flat. And then I will be able to clip all of these ends and really get a nice photo of it. So you can look forward to that coming up soon, but that is finished. And the nice thing about this was yarn in my stash. For samples, they send me the yarn, but I don't count the yarn as stash because I knit with it and then it goes away and leaves the house. So, I mean, I count it as yards knitted, but I don't count it as like, ooh, I moved something out of my stash. For this, I moved basically, I had 7 balls of yarn when I started. I have approximately a ball of yarn left over, which I will probably turn into, excuse me, turn into leftovers hats or something. But I used about 6 balls of yarn that were in my stash and got those out. So that was very exciting. I knit the size medium. I might have knit the size medium too. I can't remember how many sizes there are. I do know that I used right around 1,400 yards of yarn to knit this. And I'm guessing a lot of that is in the shawl color because for the body and the sleeves, I barely broke into the second balls on most of them. It wasn't till I got to the collar that I really had to break into them. So that one's done. The only problem with sitting on the floor here is I only have so far between me and the camera because I have bookcases and stuff coming out from the wall. So I feel sometimes like I need to lean back to show you the knit. But that is the sweater finished, and I will take better pictures of it on me or on the mannequin shortly so you can see those. But I am super, super pleased with that. So, moving on. The only other whip that you saw before was I talked about working on socks for Miles, and actually I can't even remember if I had started those last week. I don't believe I had. I think I had just finished Roxy's socks. But in case I had, I finished Miles' first sock this week. This is a sock that I am knitting for my nephew for Valentine's Day. It's not Valentine's themed, but it is for a Valentine's Day package. I always send them something. And his favorite color is red, and I went through my stash trying to find some good hard-wearing sock yarn in red, and what I found is this ball of Lorna's Laces Shepherd Sock, which is an 80/20 merino nylon in the colorway Zombie Barbecue. So it is all kinds of greens and then this yellow that Wes was like, oh, that looks like putrid flesh. Yeah, kinda. And then some black and red, and I managed to knock out the first sock of his this week. So I need to finish another sock, and I need to get these in the mail before I talk to you next, because I want them to get there in time for Valentine's Day. So you will likely not see these again, except maybe on my Instagram, but I'm gonna knit another sock identical to this. I love how it almost looks camo, except for the red in there. Anyway, these are 48 stitches on US zeros, 2.25 millimeter, no, 2.0 millimeter, I think. And it's just my basic vanilla sock recipe. I can practically knit these in my sleep. It's a 2x2 ribbed cuff, a slip stitch heel and gusset, and then just a rounded toe. So, yeah. So I need to knit one more of these, but they're little. I'm hoping maybe I'll just knit it this evening and get it knocked out, and then I can get that package in the mail to them. I also have some chocolates and a storybook. So, but I started ages ago sending them a little package for Valentine's Day, and now everyone, including me, expects it. So lots of little socks being knit. So that is the first whip that I will carry into this month and continue working on, but it should be done this week. I decided to do a couple things for February. I do have another sample. I am not exactly sure on the details of it, so I did not bring the yarn, but it is another sample for Zen Yarn Garden, and I believe I will be using their Luxe Cakes again. Again, that's the Serenity Silk base. And I have a couple really nice colors to work that in, so I will be sharing more of that next week when I start working on that. I need to clarify a few things with them. The other thing that I decided to do, because I wasn't sure what I wanted to work on for February, is I saw a bunch of my friends are doing sort of making February finishuary, and I have done that before, and I do think it's kind of fun. February is a short month, so you've got a few fewer days in the rest of the months. So finishuary, or as I like to call it, fix it, frog it, or finish it February, to me is a time to finish whips. And that can include frogging it or fixing things where things have gone awry. So it could be something simple or some mending. It could be frogging a project that no longer brings you joy, or it could be finishing something that has been languishing on the needles. So I decided to pick up a whip that I haven't looked at for a while. I know that I started working on this when I was still in my previous job, which has now been, excuse me, let's see, when did I quit? I quit in 2019 in the fall, so it's now been a year and a half. Well, I've quit in August, actually. But so it's now been well over a year and a half since I even worked there, and I know that I put this aside before then. So this is a pattern called the Pismo Beach Pullover by Amanda Schusger, and I don't know, this was a project where I went completely out in left field in terms of yarn choices and exactly what I wanted to do with it. The original pullover was done in a alpaca, linen, and tencel blend, so it had a lot of drape, and I just have a small black and white picture here. It is just a lightweight pullover. It's got lots of lace. It's a little bit sheer. It's meant to be kind of a beachy pullover. I anticipated that I would wear mine with something underneath it because in the summer it is 100 degrees, so it is way too warm to wear a sweater even if it's in linen, and in the winter it would be too cold to wear a sweater that's lacy. For some reason I went looking for yarns that were the right weight, and what I found was Katia Air Luxe, which is this crazy, it's got a sheen to it. It actually is that shiny. It's like a, well, let me see. I don't even know how to describe it. Let me see what the content is: viscose and wool. It's a kind of shiny. I'll have some of the drape, but it's also a little bit fuzzy. And so I picked this color because this color is very me. And I ordered enough to, I believe my original plan was to do the top as just a tank, because I had seen someone do it without the sleeves and I thought it was really beautiful, and I thought maybe this would be like wear a black tank under it and it would be like a really nice date night sweater. Of course, now in 2021, amidst the pandemic and what is date night, I have no idea what purpose this will serve in my wardrobe, but I decided I wanted to pull this back out and take a look at it. So I had gotten several inches in. It is a pullover that is knit from the bottom up, and I had gotten several inches in, probably, wow, almost a foot in if you count the bottom. So the beginning is done in a twisted rib, and I believe it had you double the yarn for the twisted rib, if I am not incorrect. I think that's the case, just so that it would give you a slightly more substantial hem that would probably stay down, and it had you split that and then you joined in the round to work the lace pattern. So I have a couple issues with this. One is that I was not super consistent in the lace pattern. The lace pattern is done in these columns, and it's a 4-row repeat, and let me see if I can show you. It's a 4-row repeat, and as you can see, it's kind of an interlocking stitch. It's kind of an interlocking lace stitch that creates a pattern there. I will tell you that at multiple times in the pattern, let me see if I can find them because I know that I've done it several times. Let's see, unless I fixed them. Well, this may be a different podcast than I thought it was going to be, because I think I dropped down and fixed the mistakes. Yeah. Okay, so this is a slightly different podcast than I thought it was going to be. What I was going to say is that when I was knitting this lace pattern, sometimes I was forgetting where I was and doing a yarn over a little too soon, and there were problems with that. I must have dropped down and fixed them. Well, go past me. Never mind. Okay, what I was gonna say, and I'll say it just so you can hear it, I guess, so I don't sound like I'm just talking to myself. Um, One of these starts with a knit two together and then yarn over, and one of them starts with a yarn over and knit two together, and that's how the pattern kind of waves simply back and forth in the yarn over section, and I'm trying not to give too much away from the pattern. But what happened was sometimes I would forget which one I needed to do first, and so it would create a yarn over or something that was out of step with the rest of the pattern. And you can probably see there have been a few spots that look a little off gauge. Like, I don't know if you can see that right there. There are a few stitches that look kind of off gauge. What happened was I did the wrong thing in some of these, and I had to drop down. No, maybe I can't tell. And I had to drop down and fix it. And so actually the conversation that I was going to have was that I thought I was going to need to drop this sweater back down to the cast on and then rework it so that I could work it correctly, because although it wasn't super obvious, it was obvious enough to me and I did not like the mistakes in it. However, as I just did a quick preview, I will probably take a deeper look once again just to be sure. But as I take a quick purview, I think I must have dropped down and fixed those before. So everything looks correct to me up to the point where I'm at. And my guess is I probably don't have that much farther to go before I split for the sleeves. I have to look. Let's see. What did we say? Divide for front and back at 19 inches. So I do have several more inches because I'm guessing I probably have about 12 inches here. So I probably have another 6 or 7 inches. This is a long top. However, like I said, I'm really thrilled because now I can pick this back up. So my plan for the month is to pick this top back up and work on it and see if I can finish it and get it as a work in progress off the needles. So I'm excited about this, and I will be bringing this back. Again, this is the Pismo Beach Pullover by Amanda Schusger. I believe that it looks like I'm knitting a different size, so my guess is that my gauge was kind of off, and so it looks like I'm knitting the smallest size, which is too small for me. It is meant to be worn with about between 3 and 4 inches of positive ease, and the size I'm knitting would be quite a bit less than that. However, I believe that looking at this on me, I believe that this will be just fine. So yeah. So I am working on this, and actually at this point, I'm not sure. I might actually just put the sleeves on it. We'll just have to see. I'm charmed that I'm further into this than I thought I was going to be. So I'm gonna take a look at this, make sure I'm where I need to be, and keep going. And I will bring that back to show you next week. So I don't know if I'll get to anything else. I certainly have other whips. I also have other projects that I would like to work on this month. I found a shawl that I would really like to make for my aunt. And my mom's birthday is coming up, and I don't know if I'm going to knit her something for that. So I certainly have other things that I will pull out this month if I have the time. There will probably also be, some small hats and various things as I want to do some smaller projects that will work up sort of instantly. So yeah, that is that one. So that is pretty much all the works in progress that I have. I did start another spin, and I'm trying to think. So last week I plied up, I forgot to bring the bobbin of my finished spin. That's what it was. Okay, so next week I will show you the finished yarn from last week, which was a beautiful spin from Apothecary Fibers, and it is called Forest Fungi, and it is or Forest Fungi, and it is a beautiful, it's grays and browns and reds and pinks, sort of like the mushrooms you would find in the forest. It's beautiful. It is on a super soft merino base. I finished applying that up yesterday, and I forgot to bring it off the bobbin and bring it in here, but I'm going to wash and skein that up this week. I'll put it up in the shop, and if it is still around next week, I will show it to you, so check for it on the Instagram feed in a couple days. This week, I decided to pull a braid from a friend. And she gave it to me just a few weeks ago. It was kind of a surprise, and I thought this was the right time of year to spin for it. And this is a Mardi Gras braid. It is from a new to me dyer. Hold on 2 seconds. I will grab the label because it's right up here. The dyer is called Wild Fiber Artisans, and this is the label. And I do not have an Etsy address, but I believe they are sort of a local to us dyer. And this is merino, and the colorway is Mardi Gras. That is why I picked it, because it's kind of at a fun time of year. The yellow really is this bright. I will say that the purple and the green have been softened some in the spinning, because there are still white spots in those colors, so those have paled out a little bit, but that yellow really is that bright. I have decided to spin this as a chain ply. I don't normally spin my yarns that way, but I was afraid that if I tried to do a 2-ply in this one, that the colors would get really super muddy, because they don't go terribly well together, in the sense that like blending like some yellow and some purple, or some green and some purple, like I figured that the braid would look very muddy. So what I am doing is I divided the braid in half vertically. This is only half of it. I divided the braid in half vertically. I have the other half on the wheel, and I am spinning it straight through. This is actually a double. The fiber is, so it's fairly thin sections. But it's going to give me slightly longer runs of color, and so this will be a stripy yarn. I'll show you sort of the runs of color. So they are somewhat lengthy. So you can see there's like a long chunk of purple, and then a little bit of yellow, a long chunk of green, and then a lot of yellow. And so I am spinning this in a long strip all the way through, so 2 halves basically. And then I will chain ply it, which will keep the color runs distinct. So it will be kind of a stripy, fun, and bright skein, and that is destined for the shop as well. So I think that's all I have to talk to you about today. I hope that you are having a good week, have come off a good weekend. Like I said, the weather was not great here, so I did a lot of crafting. I baked some chocolate chip cookies, and I did a few other chores this weekend that needed doing. And so I felt sort of accomplished and ready to start my Monday. It's now about 2:30, and I have some more work to go back and do, but I wanted to record while the light was still good. So I hope you have a wonderful week ahead, and until I see you again, I will say, as I always do, happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye.